Hello, welcome back. How y'all doing? I'm all comfied up on my couch, 11:20 at night with toe spacers in my feet. It is a nice night, man. The Clippers just lost today, or I could say the Suns won. That's a dub for all of us. Glad it turned out that way. So let's get straight into that, actually. Basketball. I want to actually talk about this acid trip that I had when I went to the Clippers-Warriors game 2 years ago. Playoff game. It was absolutely nuts, and I took acid. It was, first I'd like to say this: any psychedelic trip, the best way to start it is when somebody's just like, hey, we have some acid, you want to do it today? And you just say yeah. Not planned, nothing. You don't have to deal with that like stress that you have to deal with before taking a trip. Like, it's just boom, straight into it. And I feel like maybe the optimal way to do any psychedelics is to just keep it on you for months, and then just randomly one day have somebody just be like, hey, you guys want to do it today? Something like that, on a weekend or something like that, where it's not something you like have a whole plan for. Then it just, I feel like, gets really stressful. So anyway, we, pop the acid and we drive all the way to LA, and my God, was that game probably the craziest game I had ever seen. I felt like I was in a movie. I was like, let's go. I was so into it. But this is what I realized. It's that the same energy can be used for two completely different outcomes. So this is what I mean by that. It was so evident on acid to feel the entire crowd cheer or boo a team on. Like, let's go Clippers, or boo Warriors, you suck. It's the same outcome. Either way, whichever way you're going for, you just want your team to win. But there's one that's just backed up by pure positivity, and there's another one by just pure negativity to bring the other side down. And I don't know, that experience just really got me thinking, like, how do I speak to myself, right? Like, why do I either really uplift myself when I speak to myself, like, oh, you're so good, or like bring other people down? And I realized it's really for the same thing. It's just to make myself feel like I'm worthy of being loved. And so I was like, okay, every single time you approach a situation like this, you can approach it from two different ways. Even just, either this pure positivity of let's go team, let's go Goutham, you can do this, or negativity, bring the people around down. So I don't know, I don't know why I brought that up. That was super random. I don't even know how I got there, but yeah, so that was that. This podcast, though, what I kind of wanted to talk about. Oh, I also wanted to say Mylan is not here, unfortunately, today. He couldn't make it. But so I wanted to kind of talk about my Mexico experience. I went maybe 3 weeks ago. These last, 8 months or whatever has been an absolute blur. It's just been city to city, state to state, country to country. And I'm just like, I don't even know what's happening anymore. I am ready for some routine and some consistency. I cannot even begin to tell you. But man, Mexico, 1 week, probably one of the best eye-opening trips of my life. And I probably say that about every trip, but that was honestly amazing. So I kind of wanted to go over some of the main points that I got from that. Number one, in a long time, I haven't left the States and went to a place where nobody spoke English. So I went to Mexico City, and very few people spoke English. I was honestly very surprised because I had gone in there thinking, okay, I know tourist people go here. I know it's one of the largest metropolitan cities in the world. There must be people who speak English, right? There's no way there can't be. Nope. I was surprised. I was wrong there. Got in the airport. Right after we got off the airplane, they were like, hola, ¿dónde estás? I was like, I do know that, but how do I say where are the taxis? And luckily we had one of our friends with us, Deep, who knows Spanish pretty well and got us through it. And so let me tell you about the philosophical implications of that experience. English does not rule the world. And I feel like whenever I experience something like this, it really just puts everything that I go through, my entire experience, kind of in perspective. It's like, I feel like I do this all the time where I somehow just get so involved in the things that I'm doing that I think that my world is the whole world. I'm so involved to speaking in everyone in English. Like, oh, of course, the whole world must speak English, right? And then you leave and then you're like, oh my God. That must mean that any of the issues that are primarily English-based, these people probably don't even know, nor do they even care about. Whether it be music, whether it be culture, it's like these people don't even understand English. Why would they care about what happens in any English-speaking country? And I don't know. I always just feel very humbled. Like, I love feeling small. I just feel like I grew up so much of my life feeling like so important, the main character. Like being humble just makes me realize like the world is not that stressful. Like I don't really matter that much. Like it doesn't really matter what I do. Like I can just chill and have fun. And so, but here is one thing about that. I think based on how you grow up, it can impact you in many different ways. So let's say, for example, I grew up my whole life, thinking that I don't matter. Then I feel like as an adult, when you experience things where you feel small, that might actually be really like traumatic for you. But, let's say you grew up thinking you don't matter, but as you grow up, you start feeling community. You start people making, you're the leader of a group, like you're, the college frat, whatever, something like the president or something like that. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like you feel like you matter. You're super important. And I feel like that can be a really nice contrast with what you grew up with. But, I feel like I grew up really with community. My parents making me feel like I was super important. So like, that now feels like too like I don't like feeling like I'm important. I just want to feel like I'm a nobody. So traveling really has helped me just be like, there are more people on this planet than I'll ever know. So it's totally okay. So that was cool. I learned Spanish very quickly. I would definitely say that's one thing. The best way to learn a language is just to go to a country that doesn't speak it. You just have to learn it. You don't have an option. It's opposed to sitting in Spanish class, you're speaking English most of the time. You don't have to learn it. There's no necessity. But languages are beautiful, man. This is some other things I guess I thought about when I was there. How can you measure whether you speak a language well or not? It's not in how well you can order food. I was thinking, this is what I came up with. There are 3 things I can't do. I can't tell a joke. I can't persuade anyone. And I can't woo women. Those are the 3 things I can't do with the new language. And I feel like those are 3 great metrics of studying how well you know language. Given a topic, can you persuade someone how you feel? To do that, you have to have such a good grasp on the language because you have to think about how they think. You can't just say words and be like, okay, I know what I thought, I got it out the way. You have to be like, how do they perceive the words that I'm saying? That's difficult. Wooing woman, it's another form of persuasion. You have to tell this woman that you are worth talking to. That is very difficult when you just know, like, where's the bathroom? How much money is this? Like, you can't really do much with that. And the third, I don't even remember. I sometimes just say things where, like, I've thought of it in the past, but then I lose it when I, like, try to recollect it. It's weird. But let me think. Give me a second. I've been trying to work on, like, trying to recollect things so I can get my memory power up. Throw poetry in there too, though. I don't even know. I smoked too much weed this weekend. I lost a couple brain cells. I'm sorry. So, okay, well, that's language. Let's move on from that. So the next thing I kind of really thought with is community. So I went with 4 friends and we became a lot closer after that trip. And this is kind of what the philosophical implications of that was. What I realized is there's not much more to life than people. Honestly, all of this other stuff to me now is just a method of getting more connected with people, right? I think, and I was actually just talking to my dad about this right now, literally before I recorded this, is finding that balance that you want to place on community and creating some sort of fulfilling life and accomplishment, right? And I guess like the best ideal place to be is where the two are kind of interconnected. So let's say accomplishment. I want to add a new math theory, right? And let's say what community is. I want family. I want to have a lot of friends. I want genuine connections with human beings. Being able to find a profession where you're able to do both, I feel like is pretty awesome. So that would be like teaching, being a doctor. Those are all pretty great, I would say. But, there are obviously, you do need people on this planet who do focus on just accomplishment. Like for us to continue progressing, you need people in the society to focus on how do I advance technology? How do I advance, computer science, engineering, science? But they are definitely, so what you want is you want to create a society where those people are valued. So you're able to do both. You can actually create strong communities through the fact that you're valued in something. So I guess like a good example of that is, I would say maybe through money. You can spend your money in such a way where that helps you make connections. So you can travel with your friends, but the thing there is that you would need to then make money. That's not necessarily tied in with accomplishment, right? You can be a very accomplished painter, you could be a very accomplished researcher, author, and just not make a lot of money. So I guess, balancing all those things I think is very key. But back on community, I feel like growing up, I was always like, okay, money, success. That was the most important thing. But I feel like, now as I get older, I'm kind of realizing that like that's only one part of the equation, right? The larger part of the equation is community, because they are what makes you feel whatever you do feel. Without that, life just feels kind of empty. So I guess like one reason I was battling this thought is, for the longest time I was like, oh, everyone mandates children, everyone mandates family, like screw that, like I don't want that stuff, right? And I think that's a valid point to make, in that you don't want to be dependent on those things to create community, right? Because then what that means is you are basically a slave to those. Like, if I don't have children, I won't have community. If I don't have family, I won't have community. I don't think that's a point. But I do think the feeling of community itself is key to living a fulfilling life. But this is one thing that I think is really interesting, and they talk a lot about this in this book called Courage to be Disliked, which I will always shout out because it is probably one of the craziest books I've ever read. What does community actually mean? And with whom can you actually feel that level of community? So let's say I feel community with my plants. I feel very connected with the people and plants, life around me by my plants. Why can't I feel community there as the same as I can feel with people? And there's no actual reason why not. If you feel like your plants are listening to you, you can talk to them, you get some sort of therapeutic value from them, you can hug your plants, whatnot, you can get a good feeling of community there. So the whole point of that book was saying that you should try to extract that feeling of community from as much things as possible, the entire universe around you. If you want, you can be like, I feel connected with the earth. I feel connected with the stars. I feel connected with the moon. I feel connected with the ocean, the beaches, the mountains. And then you feel connected with everything. At which point you no longer only are getting those feelings of community from friends, women, or family, children, right? So that I think is a very interesting point. So I feel like I found my balance away from desiring that community from a girlfriend, relationship, children, and more into a place of like, I can get community from anything, but that does not negate the fact that community is key. So I think traveling is a great way to do that, connecting it back to that. So shout out to TS and G Deep. Here's another thing. We have been traveling both Hawaii and Mexico in a co-ed group. It is significantly better than an all-dude trip. Actually, let me take that back. I think there are situations where all-dude trips are lit, but I would definitely say there are a lot of examples where co-ed groups are very fun. I think women bring a very beautiful flavor to a group that I feel like just all dudes can't, but we can touch back on that another day. Getting back to Mexico, yeah, man, it was just beautiful. The number of things that we saw pyramids, 2,000-year-old Toltec pyramids. We saw this beautiful Salvador Dali exhibit. Oh my God, I have never been so shook by art. Like, his art made me feel like I am capable of doing art. I feel like a lot of times when I see art, it's just so hard to relate because it's just so good. It's like, oh my God, I don't understand how someone can do this. I don't feel connected to this at all. But his art is like just the right amount of deep and the right amount of sketching. So it's just like, whoa, like it looks like something I think I could relatively eventually do if I tried. And it just made me like feel a lot more connected to it as opposed to like some like ultimate goal that can never be reached through art, that didn't make any sense. Sorry. Let's see. So next I wrote on my journal, what else I want to talk to? Community, languages, world is large. Okay. Here's another thing. When people say there are a lot of fish in the ocean, that is a fact. I will say that again. When people say there are a lot of fish in the ocean, that is a certified fact. Okay. That is one thing that here's the thing, and this touches in with the world being large. It's so easy to just get so sucked into your world. So like, let's say you lived in a city for a year and you know a lot of people in there. You sometimes feel like that's all the people in the entire world. You just leave the country, there's a whole new start and a whole new bucket of people that you can just interact with, meet. And so it's like, it's never that serious. Like, let's say, oh, your ex, like all her friends hate you. It's like real serious. Like, shit, you know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what that feeling is. But look, you just moved to another country. Nobody knows you. That stuff doesn't matter. So it's just really nice to be like, okay, I'm okay. Anytime you want to start over, you can. Just pack your bags up. It's really not that difficult. And what I really wanted to conclude with is experiences, man. That's all life comes down to. Like those moments where you're just present. You feel connected with the people around you. You feel like you have purpose and meaning, whether it's through your work, whether it's through enjoyment. And those times you fall into time. You become time. It's no longer something that exists outside of you. You are there. You are present. And I guess finding as much of that as possible, I feel like, to me, is my goal in life. And Mexico is present all the time. And, I do want to bring this one question up. And I think videos and cameras take away from this fact. I personally think the biggest differences I've noticed when I've had social media and when I don't is that when I don't have social media, I don't think there's someone constantly watching behind me. It is just me and my eyes. When I have social media, I'm like, how can I show this to others? Even when I'm taking pictures, how can I show that I experienced this? Let's just delve into that a little bit. Why? Like, why do I feel this need to capture what I experience? So here's some things I've thought of, and I'm not sure which one I fall into. So before, I think one of it is like, let's say I want to remember. That's a common one. I want to remember when I grow older. I want to remember because it's fun. Okay. Why is looking back at old pictures so fun? Because it is. Like, you can just sit there with your friends for hours and just look at old pictures and laugh, right? It is definitely fun. It's nostalgic, but why? And I think one thing is like, the past always just feels so much better than the present, but it doesn't have to. If I'm having such a great time in the now, why on earth would I waste time, pull out my phone, look at old pictures? Because we're lit right now. So think about the moments that you actually end up doing that. And it's usually in times where you yourself are not doing anything that fun in the present. But that doesn't mean that it should be at a zero. I think there are times and places where finding that balance of when is nostalgia good for you, I think is important. So sometimes I feel like maybe, but it's hard. I don't know anything about that balance, but maybe it's when, let's say I'm feeling really bad about where I am currently and I need something to drive me forward. Remembering a time where life was good might push me to be like, I want to get back to that place. I don't even know if that actually makes sense, but I'm hypothesizing one possible reason it could be a positive. Another one is it does build community. Let's say your friends are around, you want to show some old pictures. It's nice to be like, damn, you can be grateful and appreciative of like, wow, look how far we've come. So this is what I posit. I think pictures and looking back is important, but I think the time that is wasted on taking thousands of pictures, making sure you look good, that part is a waste of time. I think taking one picture, everyone looks stupid. Who cares? I think looking stupid is better because you can capture more of who you are. If you look perfect in every picture you take, that's not you. You are not perfect. I am not perfect. Like, I don't look good. Like, when I make stupid faces, that I think captures who I am much more truly than me just going, like, look at me, I'm such a douchebag. Like, no. So it's like, I love the Polaroid for that reason. Nobody can complain. Another picture, take another one, boom, one picture, we're done. I'm putting that in my pocket. We can see it 30 minutes from now. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But I captured the moment. I want to look back at that one moment. The amount of time that was invested into that picture, into the editing, all that is minimal. But the amount of gain and positivity that can come from it is the same as if I took 1,000 pictures. We all stood there and felt shitty after. So, that's my little thinking about videos and all those things. But there is definitely a positive. I mean, I love pictures. I think like it's fun, like feeling yourself being like, damn, I do look good. That's a good feeling. But yeah, man, I in general, from genuinely coming from my heart, traveling is key. I think balancing traveling and creating a strong community in the place that you're in is important, because if you're traveling all the time, it's hard to create community. But if you spend the same time and too much, you create too strong of a community, you can no longer travel. So finding the right balance, I think is very key. Mexico is beautiful. I really appreciate the country for allowing me to experience its culture. and just take a little bite of it, nothing. But it was great. I'll also say this. It was amazing not having to be in a tourist packed area. We met maybe one group of other Americans, and it was really nice because honestly, fuck Americans. Like, and I guess, let me take that back. I don't want to generalize such a large group of people because that's stupid. But what I would say is I do think a lot of Americans are obnoxious. We very much go into other countries with the expectation of what can this country do for me? I am better. I am from America. What can this country do for me? How can I learn from it? What can it teach me? As opposed to like appreciating that it's its own country and they have their own cultures and their own people. And it's like they are equal as well. And I think that would actually be the greatest thing I got from this trip. I feel like I actually like developed genuine empathy for people of Hispanic culture. I feel like growing up here, like you're constantly exposed to rhetoric. Like, I had a few Hispanic friends here and there, but like, it was nice really being like where people are from. And it's like, wow, you guys are also fucking dope. Like, so awesome. Everyone was so nice. Like, I was so amazed. Like, everybody was so kind. The number of kind people we met there was mind blowing. It was awesome. I was just like, more people on this planet are way better than just out to get you. I feel like my dad growing up would always teach me like, oh, you got to be careful. They're going to try to like, take advantage of you, X, Y, and Z, not Hispanic people, just anywhere traveling. But like, I kind of went into traveling expecting that like, oh my God, I got to be careful. They're going to try taking my wallet, this and that. But it's like, most people don't care about me. Like no one cares about me. Like I'm not that important. No one cares about my wallet. Like what's in it? Like I'm not that rich. There's a few people I feel like who mess it up for the majority of the other people. So I don't know. It was just nice to get in touch with my humanity and be like, I love people. But yeah, man, apart from that, I just want to say thank you for listening. All the feedback has been really great. We'll be releasing more. Thank you for listening. If you have any topics you want to talk about or want us to talk about, let us know. Hopefully Milo will be your next podcast. See y'all. I love you guys.